a show of hands, how many of you all have a smart speaker at home? Oh, cool. So you see that there's a lot of these around, right? So this is just an example of how ubiquitous these devices have become. Because these devices are so common now, and the idea that our personalities are formed through the technologies available to us, how children and adults and in the family setting are affected by it, when they're being raised with AI devices as a regular aspect of their everyday lives. I ponder to what extent and in which ways do artificially intelligent in-home voice command devices like Alexa impact the social dynamics in a household with regards to bonding, emotional support, and nurturing. These AI natives are kids born after the year 2012 who, in roughly 8 years or so, will be entering the higher education institutions, consumerism, of course, and the workforce. Because I consider myself a digital sociologist, anytime there's a new technology with the ability to substitute for human interaction, I'm always super curious about the impact of that, especially in our homes. So Echo Dot voice command system that uses artificial intelligence, it acts as an assistant by anticipating the needs of the users. Voice command as a tool has been around for about 20 plus years, but in combination with the artificially intelligent aspects of it, that's increased integration. We can pretty much speak to everything in our houses, right? Everything in our cars, houses, things like that. In order to begin to study the impact of these devices thus far, I decided to get online and attempt to gather some scholarly articles related to AI or Alexa in the home and what was the result. Well, there were none. There were a lot of thought pieces and articles, but nothing specifically scholarly. So using historical comparative analysis, I incorporated studies based on the social and emotional impacts of video games, the personal computer, and television on children. Although AI devices like Echo Dot provide a level of interaction that's much higher than a lot of those types of technologies, using this method enabled me to uncover points of entry to collect data that might give some insight into the social and emotional impact of the devices in the house. So I'm primarily a qualitative researcher. While I often use mixed methods for a lot of my research, for this study, I felt qualitative methods was gonna be the best option. And mostly because I could discover nuances in the data that's not available through a traditional quantitative method. So using qualitative research software, I designed to help data analysis code information. I used words and phrases and created some theme codes. I used provisional coding because I decided that I had to have a direction that I was taking it in beforehand. So I used codes like family-oriented, another member of the family, fun, and help. I decided after that to go ahead with the grounded method. Theme codes such as shortcomings, concern, and placement were discovered after the initial research has already started. So using a web scraping tool, I was able to filter Amazon.com reviews for specific criteria. I thought it was innovative to use Amazon.com reviews, especially the ones that have been vetted. I only had 3 main criteria that I used for collection of this data. One of them was that I had to have 10 reviews from each star category, 1 through 5. I also had to have some language in it that referred to husband, wife, children, father, mother, daughter, something that let me know that they were in a family dynamic. And each review had to at least be 100 words or more, because I felt like when people got to 100 words or more, they started actually talking about the device and what they liked and didn't like, rather than saying, oh, this device is useless, I sent it back. So it was a meatier response is what I was looking for. So if we check out some of the responses here. Now, Wendy's a stay-at-home mother of 2. Her review goes on to discuss how she's nicer to her children because Alexa gives her a place to release stress, and Alexa won't be upset at her for yelling at it, and I guess burst into tears, right? So this review gave me insight into the emotional support being provided to the mother through Alexa, which will inevitably trickle down to the children. And so then the second review here, it's a 4-star review. King, he's a father of an undisclosed number of children. And I put undisclosed so we can understand that some people didn't say how many children were in the household, but you knew children were there. His review discusses how Alexa tells him jokes and lifts his mood while he's cooking. And him and his daughter use it to find recipes, and they do a family bonding thing using the device. And then lastly, we have Nigel here. This is a 2-star review. So most of the reviews that were like 2-star or lower, they weren't necessarily about the device itself and its usability of it. It was more so that they didn't find a need for it in their home. Nigel was a father of 2 teenage children. Both his children already had smartphones when he introduced the device, so therefore they had no reason to commune over the Echo Dot. So it left Alexa as like a novelty item that they pull out sometime when company comes over. And so overall, there were a total of 286 occurrences in the reviews that were coded. And the main areas that I focused on were fun and entertainment, help and assistance, and family dynamic. The statements that were coded as family-oriented, this is an example of it. It sort of looks this way. The snippets were pulled out, and as I coded them, they were color-coded, and then it added each number how many occurrences were showing up at the time. This example, both statements discuss how Echo Dot is encouraging their families to share a connection through either doing fun activities together using the device for music, or through playing games with each other, or as an intercom system where they can drop in and have conversations with each other from different rooms. Security was one of the expected predicted outcomes that I focused on. Security, accuracy, lack of parental attention, and used as an assistant. Those were my predictions firsthand. I also had another prediction that the device would be personified when discussed, that there will be lots of use for homework and general knowledge questions, and that parents will use this device as a household assistant for chores. As far as security was related, most people were not very concerned about security. I thought there would be a big hoopla about having this device in your home, recording everything that's happening, but most people's attitudes were like, I got a bunch of devices in my home that's recording me already, why do I care about this one? And so then there was accuracy. A lot of people had trouble with the idea of accuracy because if you didn't have a basic North American accent, a lot of times you had to repeat yourself over and over again. And then the lack of parental attention. This device would be used heavily as another member of the family. That one kind of rang true. So a brief explanation of this chart here. It shows that 13 is the highest occurrence is conversations through Alexa. So parents using this to communicate with their children from their smartphones from room to room in a household was the most common way that this device was being used in a family setting. Along with the heavy usage of the device by children, another occurrence that was not expected that surfaced using the grounded approach was the manner in which children were interacting with the device. Many of the mothers complained that the children were yelling at Alexa in a very rude manner, and she would still give them exactly what they were asking for. So Amazon answered that with an app called Manners, where it has Alexa tell the kid to repeat it in a more respectful manner before they get the result or something that they're asking for. And so a breakdown of fun and entertainment, right? So we see that the highest reason that everyone was using this device was playing music. So it was kind of like a glorified, speaker, just to play music. But a lot of families came together with this because they would think of a song, or they would have like dance parties in the kitchen, and it would be impromptu and sort of off the cuff, so the families really enjoyed the music part of it. And so as it related to bonding, emotional support, and nurturing, Alexa was at the center of many activities that either fostered bonding with or was a bonding moment in itself. Using Alexa's drop-in feature allowed parents to drop in on underage kids who were latchkey kids from their smartphones who didn't have smartphones. Users discuss having more time for family and being more relaxed because they have a home assistant. They're able to shout, Alexa, dental appointment, Alexa, doctor appointment, soccer, track. If you have that kind of lifestyle, you get it. And so bonding also happened through playing games and then creating shared experiences. Something that I thought would really show up was the fact that parents would sort of use this device as a way to entertain children as opposed to themselves entertaining it. But this was not the case. Many of the parents were using the device as a way to enhance or expand their parenting duties. So who are these AI natives, and what can we predict about their future needs, their social and emotional needs, and besides relating to them as consumers? Entering the workplace in about 8 years in higher education, we're collecting all this data on them, but all data is good, but we have to be really intentional about how we use it and how we collect it. And personal anonymity doesn't seem to be as big an issue as it used to be for many, many people. We need more scholarly articles on AI natives, especially as it relates to the emotional and social impacts of having instant access to every answer you want at the drop of a hat from the moment you're born. So next time you interface with your device or you're watching your children interface with the device, I hope you take a moment to ponder the social and emotional impact, especially as it relates to children and family social dynamics, and what that might mean for the future. Thank you.